Yes, welcome. It's that time again. Weekly roundup of the Premier League fixtures. We spoke about what I thought and the upcoming fixtures in the previous video. Just gonna quickly run through the results. Probably starting with the most impactful day, which was Super Sunday. We saw Liverpool in the Merseyside derby against Everton at Anfield. Arsenal in North London derby against Spurs at the Emirates, and we saw a London derby between Chelsea and Fulham at the Bridge. We start off with probably the biggest game in terms of the result, the game, how it went, and that was the North London derby, 4-2 to Arsenal. I predicted 2-0 to Spurs. I thought they'd see it out, with maybe with the possibility of conceding a goal. Obviously, Arsenal's attacking intent has been there throughout the season. What can I say? Arsenal took the lead through a penalty. Aubameyang, Eric Dier got an equaliser, header equaliser. Harry Kane then took the lead 2-1 up for a penalty. And then Arsenal just went on one. 3 goals with no reply. Aubameyang got a brace. Torreira scored, and Lacazette came off the bench to also score. And whether it be Lacazette starting and Aubameyang on the bench, or Aubameyang starting and Lacazette on the bench, they have been formidable. I think Unai Emery is just getting it right at the moment, choosing the right one to start in certain games, coming off the bench. I think they're just always scoring off the bench, and I think it's that electric pace that both of them have that pace to cause the opposition trouble. Tired legs, they're up against tired legs, and they're able to find those spaces. And when you're just that little bit extra tired and you're that little bit extra more fresh than the opposition, you can just beat your man, drop the shoulder, get into that space, and they just can't track your run. And I think he's just getting it right in that sense. On the basis of play, I'd say Arsenal definitely deserved the win. They deserve the 3 points here. Spurs are definitely going to be more of the upset of the two, obviously, coming away from the game with nothing, being in good form in recent games, beating Inter Milan in the Champions League. Beating Inter Milan in the Champions League, and also beating Chelsea last weekend. But it was a great result for the Gunners, and they still remain unbeaten since the opening 2 losses to City and Chelsea, which is quite a record. This is not something that we saw under Wenger for a very long time. It was a good few years ago since we saw some sort of form, some kind of results like this that we're seeing under Unai Emery. Moving over to the Merseyside derby, 1-0 to Liverpool, and the winner came from an unlikely source, Origi, in the 96th minute. 96th minute. I mean, I don't even know if there was meant to be that much stoppage time, but 96th minute it was. It was a header, Pickford should have done better. On the basis of play, slightly edged it, slightly deserved. But I mean, if you don't take your chances, it's what happens. But how Liverpool have been playing this season, it only takes 1 goal for them to win, because the amount of clean sheets that they've been keeping, it's a totally different Liverpool that we're seeing. We're not seeing the gung-ho approach, all-out attack. You score 3, but we score 5. Sort of Liverpool, we will outscore you. It's we will outplay you, we will play better, and we will get the result that's needed, and we will keep it tight at the back. So they won 1-0 here. The question is, will they be able to keep this pace for the entirety of the season? Because let's be real, that's exactly what's going to be needed. From here on out, from the next game week, which is game week 15, all the way to game week 38, this kind of consistency is needed. Clean sheets, picking up wins, 3 points on the bounce, win after win after win after win after win after win. They can't drop points. If they go 2 games and draw and loss, that's it. It's all over. It's well and truly done. Everton will feel unlucky. They'll feel hard done by. I mean, conceding the 96th minute, a lot of people had written off the game saying, well, Liverpool's out of the title race now. There is only between one team. I knew some, and my dad supports Liverpool. Got a couple of friends that support Liverpool. And by like the 92nd minute, they were like, yeah, this match is done. Liverpool now have no chance in winning the title. But as soon as that goal popped in the 96th minute, they were like, well, title race is back on. My dad was like, it's going to Liverpool. Title's going to Liverpool. This is what stuff of champions are made of. It's just destined, written in the star. But the last time it was destined, look what happened. Gerrard slipped and you lost the title. So, I mean, it's a long way to go. A lot of football to be played. Liverpool will be happy with the 3 points. Maybe not so much, delight with the performance, but definitely with the result. And the London derby, which featured Chelsea and Fulham, that was 2-0 to Chelsea. More so, that was a routine victory. They had more chances to add to the goals. Morata missing from 4 yards. The goal scorer was Pedro in the 4th minute, and then once the goal went in the 4th minute, I was sat there thinking, well, this is it. The floodgates are going to open. Fulham been conceding goals galore all season. It's only taking them 4 minutes to concede their first here against Chelsea at the Bridge. We're looking at 4-5-0, and it wasn't. The second goal came deep into the second half. I can't remember exactly what minute, but it was well into the second half. And it was I can't quite remember who scored the second now. I want to say Giroud, but it wasn't Giroud. I know it wasn't Giroud. It was Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek scored off the bench. He come off the bench and Loftus-Cheek scored the second goal. So it was deep into the second half. As a substitute that scored the second. I mean, again, happy with the 3 points. Happy to keep up pace with Arsenal beating Tottenham. Be happy to keep up with the pace of, their competitors because they're competing for top 4. But maybe not so much the performance. And Hazard's form has dipped slightly. It has dipped a lot, and I know he's been in and out through injuries, but he needs to pick up his form. He needs to play better. If Chelsea want to progress and go really far in the future, he's going to have to improve. And not necessarily improve because he has those moments of magic, but when I say improve, it's more like bring the level of consistency, week in, week out consistency. Players like Sane and Sterling, they're bringing that consistency week in, week out. And that's all he has to do because he's got it in his locker. Because I wouldn't say Sterling's a better player than him. I don't think anyone would. But he's not bringing the level of consistency. It's just a game here and a game there. He does an absolute madness, does incredible, and everyone's like, well, that's why he's one of the best free players in the world behind Messi and Ronaldo. But yeah, that was Super Sunday. It was very exciting. And then one of our other big games, or big teams who played was Man United. They were away to Southampton. And they started the game 2-0 down. Basically, that was it. It was 1-0, boom, 2-0, boom. And it was like, whoa, what's going on here? They had a really good spell recently, qualifying out the Champions League, beating Young Boys in the last minute. And, I mean, it's not even surprising anymore. Like, this isn't surprising to me anymore. Like, I'm actually expecting these kind of results, these kind of displays. The result was 2-2 in the end. Man United clawed it back to 2-2. Lukaku and scored the first, and Herrera scored the equaliser. All 4 goals coming in the first half, no goals in the second half. Match ended 2-2. But this is what I'm expecting for the rest of the season. Literally, from now to the end of the season, these kind of results, 2-2 and draws against teams that are struggling for relegation, like Crystal Palace, Southampton. Not winning games that they're supposed to win, losing in the big games like against Man City, against Liverpool, just losing in those type of games. I'm just expecting this for the rest of the season now. I'm not expecting nothing big, no quality from them. They would have to do something major in the January transfer window, and it's unlikely. Like, how often do we see something major in the January transfer window? It's very, very rare that we see major transfers in the January transfer window. But I think that's what will be required. If not, then this is continuing for the rest of the season. I'm just gonna go out and say, with Arsenal beating Spurs, it kind of was like a little bit lenient on them. Obviously, you need to win. Their goal right now is top 4 because they're not gonna win any trophies. Let's be real. They're not winning Champions League. They're out of the Carabao Cup. They're not winning the Premier League. Obviously, you have the FA Cup. Anything can happen in the FA Cup, but I'm not tipping them as favourites or potential winners. It's too early for that. Too early for anyone, to be honest. So their realistic aim is to get back in the Champions League, and I cannot see that happening. Their next game is, I believe, it's at Old Trafford against Arsenal, and if they lose that game, I mean, I can't see them winning it, but if they lose that game, I'm going to say it now, that's their top four aspirations over. It's finished. And although you wouldn't say get Mourinho out now, but it would be best, if they lose to Arsenal, it would be best just to call it a day and sack him right there and then. Because, one, they're not going to get top four with him from that position that they're in now. Arsenal are on a roll. Because Arsenal are 8 points behind Manchester City. But if you think about it, they started the campaign 6 points behind them. Opening day, they lost to City. Then they lost to Chelsea, and they're 6 points behind everybody. So they started 6 points behind everybody. And we're, 14 or 15 game weeks into the season now. So 12, 13 games later, they've only dropped 2 more points than Manchester City. Went from 6 to 8 points. So they're in fantastic form. They're playing the best kind of football they have in recent years. And that's the kind of form and the kind of consistency that Man United need to bring to the table if they're going to aspire to get into top four. It honestly is, because they're not catching Liverpool, not catching Man City. That's out of their reach. It's Arsenal, Spurs and Chelsea that they need to be catching, and these teams are in good form. They're in good form. Spurs are playing serious football. They're not messing about. And if he loses to Arsenal, then I'm sorry, but it's best if you just get rid of him, replace him, get a new manager in. Whether he makes top four or not, it's regardless, because he wasn't going to make it anyway. But at least give the team time, from game week 15 to 38, over half of the season, to get used and accustomed to the new manager. There's no point getting rid of him and bringing a new manager in the summer, because it's just the whole thing's done again. The manager needs to know, well, I need X, Y, and Z in X, Y, and Z positions. This is where we're weak. This is where we need strengthening. We're strong here. We're good here. There's no point bringing someone in the summer that needs time to gel with the squad, needs to know what he needs to, needs to know what he needs to sort out. And yeah, it's a hot mess over at Old Trafford. And then just flying through the rest of the results for the weekend, we had Cardiff, who played Wolves. They were at home, won 2-1. I kind of predicted that they would win 2-1. Wolves in a little bit of a rut recently. Good 3 points for Cardiff. They're battling at the bottom, so they'll take every 3 points that they can get. Crystal Palace beating Burnley 2-0. Another good 3 points for a team battling at the bottom. Well, so are Burnley, but as a big 3 points for Palace. And we also had Brighton away to Huddersfield, who picked up a 2-1 win. That's not surprising. It's just, I think the only thing that was surprising was that Huddersfield scored. Kind of expected a clean sheet there from Brighton, but 2-1 was kind of a predictable result. Leicester picking up and Jamie Vardy back on the score sheet for them as well. 2-0 to Leicester against Watford. It was a fairly decent game, kind of comfortable for Leicester, and they, like I said, they'll be alright this season, and they'll go from strength to strength, and I'm pretty sure next summer they will strengthen, reasonably well, especially with the sale of Mahrez, and that money there will be there for them to spend. We also had Manchester City, again, another routine win for them. It was 3-1 against Bournemouth. Kind of disappointed that they conceded, but hey, it is what it is. 3-1. I think Sterling, who else scored? I watched the game. Who was it? Sterling scored 1. There's so many men. Bernardo Silva scored, and I can't remember who scored the last, who scored the third. But B. Silva and Sterling scored. And obviously the one and only Callum Wilson scored for Bournemouth. He's in really good form. But he was before his injuries, he was amazing. I remember it was in, what year was it? It was 2015? or 14, 2015, he was in some hot form. And I was like, yeah, he's one to watch. And then he was ridiculed with injuries. And it was a little bit disappointing because I used to use him a lot in FPL fantasy because he was a cheap little striker. And here he goes again. I mean, he's been about, and he is about. He's a decent little player, him, that Callum Wilson. Scores goals. Other game, Newcastle lost 3-0 at home to West Ham. And West Ham have a nice run of fixtures. They can really pick up. If they get another 3-4 wins in their next 5 games, they'll be alright. They'll be in good form, and they'll be, kind of settled and feel comfortable and not having to worry about watching their backs, about dropping into the drop zone. They've got a nice run of fixtures, and this was a big result for them. Newcastle, off the back of back-to-back wins, kind of disappointing that they lost so heavily here. But hopefully they'll be thinking and hoping that they can dust this down and get on with the next game. And that was it. That was the final game of the week. So those were the results. Some of them I was pretty close with. Some of them I got spot on. And others, like the North London Derby, I was way off. Absolutely way off. But again, I'm going to quickly do next video. We got straight into Tuesday and Wednesdays. I can't remember if it was Thursday games as well, but just Tuesday and Wednesday games as well. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, remember, like, comment, subscribe, let us know your thoughts, what you think, who's going to win the title, all of that, unexpected results, who is coming close to winning Super 6, because I tell you that all season, specifically the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've come agonizingly close to Super 6 victories. I'm going to get it. I'm telling you, I'm going to get it before this season ends. Remember that.